Welcome to Talladega, Alabama for NASCAR Xfinity Series qualifying. We get ready for tomorrow afternoon's race. We're about to set the field alongside Steve Letarte, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Rick Allen with you, as well as Kim Kuhn taking care of all the stories from pit road today. And around the track they will go. This is Timmy Hill going out first. There will end up being 3 cars on the track at once. They won't be able to draft off of each other. So there are no groups. There will be single car qualifying. And the top 10 from round 1 will be able to go on to the final round to determine who the pole winner will be, as well as those top 10 starting positions. And so it is the Buffalo Wild Wings Coble Chevrolet of Timmy Hill first onto the high banks here at Talladega. And all right, Junior, go ahead and tell us right away, what is the strategy of the 1 lap qualifying at Talladega?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things that are important. Is your launch off pit road is going to matter the most, getting your car up to speed. If you have any type of tire slip, your crew chief is going to yell at you because you didn't get the car off pit road and get up to speed and get through the gears. You're going to get some information from your engine guys on when to shift, what RPM is probably the best to be shifting at, so you're trying to pay attention to that, as well as running the highest line you possibly can on that warm-up lap to be able to allow the car the most footage around the racetrack to get up to speed. So you make the first lap or the get up to speed lap as long as you possibly can, and then the second lap, this lap, the only timed lap, is right around the bottom of the racetrack, the shortest distance, as close to that apron as possible without hitting the apron. You don't want to drag the splitter on the apron or anything that's going to knock speed out of the car. And you also want to keep the wheel as straight as possible. This is a little tricky part right here at the dogleg, because the dogleg is progressively banked. That bottom groove is flatter than the rest of the dogleg. So if you happen to bump into that, that can slow the car down as well. There's all kinds of little imperfections around this racetrack you try to miss.
Steve, you were smiling at me the whole time. So
I was just thinking how excited I was excited how I just knew how excited the production team was to see a Buffalo Wild Wings car. That's really what I was thinking in my head. I was like, man, if you know, producer, director, if they had any input, they would like, this is the one we're going to show all day long. They're big Buffalo Wild Wing fans. But this is a great little story, though, right? Yep. NASCAR Reddit on this car right here for Ryan Vargas. Rounded up a little bit of money.
And so you're seeing this car on the bottom of the racetrack because the way they're sending the cars onto the track, they'll be continuously running. So we'll always have 2 cars on the racetrack just to be able to get through this process quicker. So we won't see their warm-up lap, but we will see their time lap as we go from car to car.
1,400 usernames on this car from NASCAR. Is your name on it? I mean, you're a NASCAR Reddit guy.
I'm on Reddit, man. I'll tell you right now, man. That's where a lot of good information is. They're pretty good at kind of keeping the sport honest, a little accountability.
Is your real name on Reddit?
Yeah. If they see something, they point it out. Okay. They say, hey, what's this? What's going on with this? And it's a pretty good conversation in there. So
B.J. McLeod and the B.J. McLeod Motorsports Chevrolet on track now. Let's go down to Kim.
And catching up with Derek Griffith back in the Sam Hunt racing car for this weekend, but limited amount of super speedway experience. You've done ARCA at Daytona. So who and how did you prepare for this weekend at Talladega?
A lot of notes. You know, I got a lot of notes from a lot of people, and I know these guys prepared a really fast GR Supra, and I can't thank Xfinity enough for having us here too. And watched a lot of videos, got sim time, just really spent some time and really worked at this. So hopefully, I know Chris Lambert's going to have me in a good spot there for the race, and I'm going to take all I can in from him and take it from there.
All right, we're going to let him climb aboard his machine. He mentioned Chris Lambert, his spotter this weekend, key to racing here at Talladega.
So much communication between spotter and driver when you've got 38 cars on track, inches apart. As we see B.J. McLeod coming up to finish his lap, about a half a second off of what Ryan Vargas has posted. Second fastest of the 3 that have been out there, and on the clock there we see the 08 of David Starr. Must be coming to the green here. And so up against the wall.
Yeah, coming to the green. He's going to stay up against the wall through the trouble, but start to feed down the racetrack. So when he crosses the line right there, he's almost near the apron. So this distance from the start-finish line to turn 1, he's not making a very long angle to the apron and adding feet to the racetrack. You see the bottom of the car dragging on the racetrack. That's not very good. Anytime anything's dragging the racetrack at these places in qualifying, Steve, you want to have that, do you?
No, and it would be surprised. So it's a catch-22. You're going way slower, though, you will in the draft later, so you would expect nothing to drag, but all the air is on your car. Later today in the draft, you're going to have a little less air pressure pushing down on your car. But, yeah, I'd be a little concerned if I was dragging anything too severely. And it's like the old go-kart brake. Anything dragging the ground is not good for speed.
A very busy man this weekend will be Parker Kligerman. He's with Kim.
Yeah, our friend and colleague, and the guys in the booth had some questions about your umbrella, how that's going to help you with qualifying here in the Xfinity Series at Talladega.
Yeah, see, at Big Machine Racing, thank you to Scott Borchetta, Spike Coors. We think ahead. We think way at a different level, I think, from others. We're trying to cool the track around us. That creates more grip and speed, hopefully, to put this thing on the pole. So, we're just thinking that little extra bit. So I know you guys are making fun of our umbrella. It's got a purpose other than just staying, nice and cool. But really excited for this. This is going to be fun. I think it's one of the best Xfinity cars I've been in probably the last 10 years. So I'm pretty pumped for today.
Quickly, before you get in, you mentioned Scott Borchetta. I heard, a little bird told me that he saw your win at Mid-Ohio while he was sitting around at Atlanta and said, we got to get this guy in the car. Is that the story?
So I got a call, literally, my phone, I missed a call in Victory Lane from Keith Barnwell, who's like the GM here, and it said basically, hey, I know this is the call you want to get. Do you want to race Talladega? Congratulations. I was like, yes, of course. So thank you to Scott, Spike Coors, everyone at Big Machine Racing, Patrick Donahue. This is a really good group. They have a great car. They've obviously run up front with so many different drivers, one with Ty Reddick. I'm just hoping to go and get 2 trophies tomorrow and then celebrate by drinking a ton of Spike Coolers in those trophies.
And then working the Cup race on Sunday
and then working
for NBC.
I'll be hydrated, don't worry. Just to all our bosses, don't worry, I'll be fine.
All right, we're going to let Parker climb aboard to do his qualifying lap.
Kim, you let him know he didn't think too far ahead because our coolers up here are dry, and that is totally his bad. We're going to blame Parker.
Go ahead.
Yeah, he mentioned both races tomorrow. He starts 21st in the Truck Series race. It's actually a double-duty racing, but a double-duty day because both the Trucks and Xfinity Series will race on the same day tomorrow.
If I was Scott, I would have written him a contract to drive the entire season because I don't know anybody that deserves a better opportunity than Parker with what he's been able to show in the past several years with his truck racing and the other opportunities he's had, and plus how well spoken and marketable he is. I just think he's a prime candidate for an opportunity like that.
It's interesting. I'm not sure if you realize this, but you do know you own a Xfinity Series team, right? You know that?
Oh, yeah. But I know that one's looking for
If I was Scott, I would have offered him a contract.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
He's saying his are full. His are full.
Yeah.
Understand.
J.J. Yaley here in the 66 AMG Sports Chevrolet. A lot of experience behind the wheel, J.J. 375 Xfinity Series starts.
Well, we were chatting with Parker. We saw Jesse Wuji go out in the Equity Prime Mortgage Chevrolet, put it second fastest. Pretty close for Jeffrey Earnhardt at the start of this run. And really, as a driver, Junior, is there any way you can make up time? And right now, he's already a 1/10 of a second behind. How do you gain time in this situation?
Well, as a driver, I was mentioning keeping the wheel straight and keeping tight against the apron. There are some things that you can, on the warm-up lap, okay, you see how that very top lane sort of goes uphill into turn 3? Mm-hmm. A lot of guys will stay right against the wall and drive up that hill. And I think there's ways to sort of chop the entry a little bit, bring the car off the wall a little bit early, and come about a car length away from the wall. On your warm-up lap, when you exit the corner, you're coming down a hill. So take advantage of those hills. See how that going uphill into the top of turn 1? And so that will slow the car down. So wherever there's uphills and downhills, take advantage of those on that warm-up lap. Little tiny things like that are worth, you know, a quarter of a car length here and there, and they add up. But nothing is more important, I think, than staying tight against that apron. And it's kind of tough to do because that line, I believe, you know, appears to be, you know, right against the seam and almost up on the racetrack. And so trying to understand where the splitter of the car is and be able to get as close to the apron as possible without hitting it is tough to do. Sometimes you'll hit that apron, man, and you know as soon as you hit the apron with the splitter, you've knocked 1 mile an hour out of the car right away, and you will never recover from that.
Both Jeffrey Earnhardt and Joey Gase, who are watching right now, sponsored by Absaroka, both Fords with the same sponsor. And we're seeing Joey Gase come to the line now about 0.4 of a second slower than what we've seen Ryan Vargas. Absaroka, a Western and leather apparel company. And so Gase third, Jeffrey Earnhardt in the 4th position as qualifying continues from here at Talladega Superspeedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Cup Series qualifying will kick things off at 10:30 on the NBC Sports app. Then on NBC, it's IMSA Racing, Toul Petit Le Mans, and Countdown to Green on USA at 3:30 for Xfinity Series Racing. It's race 2 of the round of 12 for the Xfinity Series at 4 o'clock. 6:30 NASCAR America Post Race Show, and at 7 o'clock it's IMSA Racing once again on Toul Petit Le Mans. We take a look. Again, just one race into the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. Noah Gragson, with the win a week ago at Texas, has locked himself into the round of 8. And everyone else will be fighting either for a win here tomorrow or the most points they can get so they're not eliminated after the Roval next weekend.
Number 91, Mason Massey out on the racetrack in the Anderson Power Services Chevrolet. Coming off of turn 4, headed toward the green flag.
Decent year for this 91 Mason Massey. 2 top 10s. And his only 2 career Xfinity top 10s in 42 starts, both this year. Got a 6th at Atlanta, a 9th at the short track in New Hampshire. Try to keep that momentum. This is a place, you know, a team like this comes here, and I think they come here with some confidence or some expectation that, man, if, you know, a top 10 here would absolutely be tangible, you know, between perhaps some attrition, staying in the pack, the equalizer of the draft.
I'm laughing because I'm reading actually a post from NASCAR on Reddit. It said, Dale Jr., we love you too. For our notes, if you don't use your real name on Reddit, what do you use? Steve Letarte. There you have it.
The best place to hide in all those public forums is as your own self, because nobody believed. They were like, no way, it's Dale.
Yeah.
It can't be Dale's.
I think they're asking what your hidden name is.
Yeah.
If you're on there, what are you going under? What's your alias?
I may have to. I have to.
Let's check in with Kim.
And caught up with last year's April winner at Talladega, Jeb Burton. Everybody says qualifying at Talladega is easy, but how do you attack the racetrack?
Well, all I can do is get through the gears and get beside the wall and hold it wide open and not do anything stupid. So I'm not sure how good it's going to qualify. We got ECR power under the hood, so that's always great. But the car looks beautiful. We got Solid Rock carriers on there. Solid Rock helps a lot of local late model racers, and pretty cool to have them and Arrowhead Brass on the car. Got Ergodyne on the roof, so got a bunch of good partners. It hadn't been a great season. We've had a lot of good runs, kind of get taken away from us. So hopefully tomorrow maybe we can have a shot. And we were running 5th on the back straightaway last time and got blocked and didn't get the finish. So hopefully maybe we can get another blue car back in victory lane this weekend.
Jeb Burton looking for redemption. He's going to have the in-car camera, and he told me, he's like, I can't get away with anything this weekend because of that camera.
That's the truth. Man, I used to hate running in-car cameras because you kind of had to mind your manners in there.
That's why I'd suggest them. I'd request them.
Clear Crypto's on board with Cesar Vaccarella, as we just saw Cesar go 6th fastest of the 10 that have been out on the track. This is Derek Griffith in the Toyota Racing Toyota. There's Noah Gragson, and apparently a little more lighthearted when you've qualified for the next round. You can kind of toot your own horn.
Yeah, I don't, the guy's going to show up with something new every week. I just hope that Jeff Burton's watching all this. He loves the antics from Noah. He's a big fan. Derek tries to come around turn 3 and 4, and I always wondered, Steve, when you're in qualifying, you see that car on the apron, or you see that car on the back straightaway, like, is this hurting me? How do I go by this guy?
Right.
Like, without it affecting me in some way? Because there's air coming off that car, even if it's going 30, 40 mile an hour. They're probably actually going faster than that, cruising around the apron, maybe as fast as 60 to 80 miles an hour. And what do I need to do to try to have the least amount of effect on my car?
Yeah, because I don't want you to move away from it and go up the bank and run a longer corner. It is interesting. This is kind of a new, multiple cars on the track at the same time is definitely a new look, but very thankful. Speeds along the process, gives the fans that are here in person a little bit more entertainment.
This is Howie DiSavino III with the Travis Mills Foundation Chevrolet, number 44 out on track, just 21 years old, out of Chesterfield, Virginia. If that sounds familiar, that's Denny Hamlin's hometown. Kim.
Down here with Bailey Curry. We're getting familiar with the name because you led laps a couple of weeks at Bristol ago, and then we saw you in the top 5 at Texas. You have the opportunity to be up front at Talladega. For a smaller team and a driver that's trying to make a name for himself, what do moments like that mean?
Oh, they're everything. Like you said, trying to make a name for yourself, and when your name's on TV more often, that definitely helps. So hopefully we can kind of keep that momentum rolling here at Talladega and go get a good qualifying spot.
And key to qualifying here at Dega.
Yeah, no, I think we'll be good. JD Motorsports cars are usually pretty good here, and last time we had Alex Seltzer on the car, we ran pretty good. So I have confidence in this team. I know the 6 car's fast, so hopefully we can go out there and be with our teammate.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Blaine Perkins, the 22-year-old out of Bakersfield, California, behind the wheel of the Otto Parkett Chevrolet.
I like the scheme on this car. Bright side skirts, color pops on it. If I'm a spotter at Daytona or Talladega, I want a car that doesn't blend in. I need something that's a little more identifiable. You could back there on the backstretch. It is a long ways from the spotter stand, and I want to have a little bit of ability to have this car stand out.
And I don't want to, pick on the guy at all, but that back there in turn 1 and 2, he's up the racetrack about 1.5 feet, 2 foot. If we actually out there measuring it, might have been more than that. But now right tight around the apron. But if you move up off that corner or up off that apron and you're adding feet to the track, you're basically just making a longer distance for you to get back to the checker flag, and it could be the difference between the pole or 2nd or 10th place.
Coming to the line now. And Blaine is going to slot into 2nd. 53.17 for Blaine Perkins.
Speaking of critiquing, let's check our man old Parker Kligerman out here, see how he does. He's going to start 21st for the truck race tomorrow, middle of the day. The Xfinity cars will run after the truck race.
And he drove it really aggressively down across the bottom of the racetrack and right against the apron by the time he crosses the start-finish line. If I know him, he's spent hours and hours and hours running single-car runs on iRacing, just trying to perfect his line. Parker, we're up the racetrack. What are you doing?
Losing time.
Staying right about 3/100ths of a second off of what Ryan Vargas has run. Remember, Vargas went out 2nd. He was the 2nd car on the track.
His teammate Bailey Curry said they had some speed, so matched up against this 48, which I think is great equipment.
Gaining.
Yep.
Gaining on it.
Doing a good job here.
Parker, he's won here twice in the trucks, so he knows how to get around Talladega. It's going to be fun to watch him tomorrow in both races. I think he's going to be the fastest at the moment.
This was where we saw his trademark move. Grab the flag and plant it in the infield. And so Parker Kligerman, fastest here in the Xfinity Series qualifying at a 52.96. This is Josh Williams in the Startron Alloy Chevrolet.
Great character. Just a great guy. Great for the sport. A lot of fun.
The telemetry is going to compare to 10th place because the top 10 will go to a final round. Josh has kind of bounced around this year trying to find the team that fits with him, fits well with him and his expectations as a driver.
He's in the green compared to the top 10, and in the news obviously yesterday and today, a lot of things happening, but his hometown, Port Charlotte, Florida. So obviously a lot of thoughts going out to all of those that have been affected by Hurricane Ian. In the green here for Williams, again comparing to McLeod.
McLeod was actually his car owner at the start of the year. They parted ways, and Josh searches for a new home.
He goes 9th quickest on that lap. Next up.
And you notice something here with the 10 car. Castle, as he comes toward us, Rick, a little bit of skew in this car if you are looking at it.
And how is that helping them through the turns?
The car basically is skewed the wrong way. Basically the back end of the car is over to the left, and that's to try to get the rear spoiler out of the air or behind the greenhouse, Steve, to try to take away a little bit of drag.
Yeah, the idea is to hide that right rear spoiler, so you kind of want to crab walk it tail left. They're straighter than really ever. You know, I think we used to see more and more. NASCAR has tightened this box and tightened the box. Now the teams continue to get creative. This car actually looks reasonably straight down the straightaways, a little bit more efficient in the corners. So some suspension settings that are allowing that to happen. That's a pretty good shot of it right here. But it's, you know, definitely not straight, but much straighter than, say, 3 or 4 years ago. They used to look really twisted up.
And that only puts him in 4th.
Yeah, it just proves that lap by Kligerman, Vargas, and Perkins.
Yeah.
We got Myatt Snyder now. Tax Slayer Chevrolet. Tax Slayer been around the Xfinity Series for quite some time. Dale, they were on your cars years ago at Junior Motorsports. You and I, we went to a football game somewhere with those guys down in Florida. It was a great trip, great company.
They've been in the Cup Series as well, sponsoring Andy Lally and Bobby Labonte. Been around for a while, so I'd like to see them continue their support of the series. And Myatt goes down the back straightaway, trending in the right direction to make this top 10.
Myatt was 9th in this race earlier this year.
Yeah, and I think he has to be looking forward to getting back here. That second at Portland was a highlight for the 31 car this year. It's been quite a few weeks. Actually hasn't had a top 10 since that race at Portland back in the middle of the summer. So coming back to a track where you mentioned, Rick, inside the top 10 at the first race, he'd love to have another solid run. Remember that huge wreck he was in at Daytona to start the year, going down the backstretch, got up into the catch fence, car coming apart.
5th quickest for Myatt Snyder at a 53.27. Qualifying continuing from Talladega. A year ago, Brandon Brown ended up in victory lane right here at Talladega Super Speedway, and now he is out on track.
He's been in and out of this car this year. It's unfortunate when you talk to Brandon. You know, his goal is to always drive this team-owned car, but there's been some financial struggles. They had a partner they thought was going to come on board early in the year, and it kind of fizzled out last minute, and that cost this team the opportunity to sell some of their inventory. So for that reason, they've had to allow other drivers to drive the 68 because it ends up being a financial gain for the team for another driver to put their partner on board and drive this car. So I'd love to see him go back to victory lane. I mean, you know, this team puts a lot of work in to keep this car on the racetrack.
And he was in this car last week at Texas and absolutely flying, running in the top 10. He got wrecked on the back straightaway and didn't get the opportunity to really finish out what a great run he had going, but that car was really, really quick right out of the gate.
We're comparing to 10th right now. Mason Massey is 10th. Again, the top 10 will have a second round to determine the pole and the top 10 starting positions. As we see Brandon Brown trending into the positive. He has the sponsor Zero FG Energy on that Chevrolet. And through the tri-oval and across the stripe for Brandon Brown, and that will put him 4th.
That's a good lap.
Kim.
All right, we're going to check out with Trevor Bayne before you climb in the car. You know, only a couple seconds. You've been sitting here watching the others qualify. What's the advantage of getting to see them run, and what have you noticed?
I don't know if there is one right now. Nobody knows what to expect with no practice, but just pumped to be here, Kim. I didn't know on Monday that I was going to be racing this Dollar Concrete Construction 18, so I was sitting in the simulator, got a text from those guys and asked if I could fill in for Drew Dollar, who's at University of Georgia. He's deep in his classes right now, so they asked if I could drive this thing, and love these speedways, even though you never know what's going to happen. We'll see what this 18's got today.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Last 2 starts in the Xfinity Series. Trevor's coming up just shy of a win. 2nd place.
You always see a smile on Trevor Bayne's face, too. The guy is happy to be at a racetrack, doing what he's doing, as we see Anthony Alfredo now in the green. 0.2 of a second, 2.5 tenths, and improving upon that.
Clean looking race car. I like the scheme on this one as well. Dude wipes. Well, you know, we see them on a lot of the races for Anthony. 6th quick right here. So far, the top 5 dominated by bow ties, but a couple heavy hitter Toyotas like Trevor Bayne still to come. We'll see what kind of pace they have in single car runs.
Headed down into turn 1 is Joe Graff Jr. in the 07. G-Coin Ford off turn 2. Just barely ahead of 10th place Griffith. But right around here, starting to pick up a little bit of time and improve down this back straightaway, showing a little bit better power plant under the hood.
Yeah, continues to gain power and efficiency on cooling. Sometimes you can find a little bit there for a team. You know, if you're a little bit more efficient with your ambient temperature of the water, or you could, you know, start a little cooler. As the engine builds temperature, it's going to lose power, right? The oil warms up, which is good, but as the water warms up, definitely less efficient. So some of that can be what we're seeing at the second half of these laps. That'll end up being 6th for Joe. Here's Jeb, heard from him earlier.
Solid Rock Carriers Chevrolet. Solid Rock Carriers sponsoring the Cars Tour for late model stock and puts a lot of effort in the short track racing programs in the Southeast. They also sponsor several drivers on kind of one-off deals like this with Jeb that have that sort of short track connection to the Mid-Atlantic region.
Got to give us some good views. I hope we get to see all the laps from this helmet cam from Jeb. He's been kind enough to wear it a few times for us, and luck just hasn't been on his side to get these cars to the finish. I hope we get to see all the laps.
It's interesting to listen. The RPMs hardly change at all, even in the center of the turn.
Right there, you hear the sound. That's a great point, Rick. A driver really isn't looking at the RPMs, but he is listening. You can hear the tone of the motor change, and that, I think, for me, was a good indicator.
Yeah, you hear it. You heard it got louder there. I mean, a higher pitch. The RPM's a little higher.
When you're out there messing with your line, when you're testing or practicing, trying to figure out how to make this car run that 1 lap fast, listening to that motor is always really helpful.
And looking at the flags, you're going to have more RPM down the front stretch, I believe, because it's a tailwind. So as we see CJ McLaughlin right here, as McLaughlin goes through 1 and 2, when he comes off from turn 2, he's going to hit a dead headwind down the backstretch. So look, he's actually going to lose RPM perhaps down the backstretch, which would be different. Normally you would gain it. We'll take a good look at it. He's 74.50. Will he gain some back going right into this headwind? It's like a wall of air. Look at it. There's no acceleration on that car down the backstretch at all. When he exits turn 4, that's going to climb up into the 7,600 range. That's just the wind.
SciApps on board for C.J. McLaughlin. As now we're comparing to Jesse Iwuji, who's in 10th, and not quite as quick for McLaughlin right now.
There you go. See, 7,500 at climbing, 7,600. That's what makes testing at these super speedways used to be so difficult, because you go out one time and the wind helps. The next time it hurts, you get a gust. It's just, you're looking for really small changes in the car, really hard to dissect.
And they're pushing out a lot of water there, really pushing the envelope on the temperature there for that car.
Here comes Bailey Curry.
I don't know about the yellow and blue now. Alka-Seltzer machine.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Jimmy Means back in the 80s and the 90s, and for a lot of his career he was sponsored by Alka-Seltzer, and it's cool for me, brings back a lot of memories to see this sponsor on a race car today.
Burton loves those white wheels too.
Burton loves white wheels. One thing that I know that he enjoys about paint schemes, he's not too particular about what the actual body of the car looks like with the wheels. Kim, who you got down there?
One of your drivers, Justin Allgaier, making his 400th career Xfinity Series start. That's a lot of time, a lot of milestones. What do you remember about your first visit here to Talladega?
Well, this place has always been special. Obviously, coming here in the ARCA Series before I was in NASCAR, winning a race here, there's just not a lot that compares to coming to this racetrack. Here in Daytona both, they're completely different than any other racetracks we go to. So I'm excited. One thing for sure, when it comes to super speedways, Junior Motorsports is always reliable and fast, just like Xfinity Internet, right? And I think for us, the key is we lost some points last week. We got to go back and get them. If 400 starts has told me anything, it's that the last one doesn't matter and the next one's the one that's important. And I think that our team does a really good job of that. I think as a driver, I've been working on that, and we'll go have some fun tomorrow.
Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Here's Sheldon Creed in the Whelen Chevrolet, and don't have telemetry with Sheldon. There's something with his car right now that is stopping us from being able to get that information. So we'll keep our eye on this lap, find out where he slots in.
I think he's very interesting because he came out of the Truck Series winning a lot of races, and people expected maybe for a little bit more performance this year from him, but I think that's next year. And I think he'll get there and start, being a more dominant force in this series. Because if you look at his Truck Series career, it was very similar. Came into the Truck Series kind of stumbling and bumbling through it, and then finally got it figured out.
Big lap by Sheldon Creed, top of the board, 52.74.
0.2 of a second faster than what Parker Kligerman had posted.
We just heard from a little bit earlier, the 18 of Trevor Bayne, Dollar Concrete Toyota.
And this is probably a favorite to win this race, because when I think about Trevor, man, in his Cup career, he was really, really good at making things happen on the super speedways.
I remember always seeing Trevor Bayne pair up with Jeff Gordon. It seemed like those two were inseparable at super speedway racetracks, and it was always either Trevor Bayne pushing Jeff or Jeff pushing Trevor, and it seemed like those two had a lot of respect for each other on these tracks.
I always think that sometimes super speedway racing marries well with a certain personality, and for whatever reason, some guys just always match up well with super speedway racing right out of the gate. And Trevor, to me, the way he races, his mentality, his thought process, what he's decision making in the moments on the racetrack seem to do well for the restrictor plates.
Fourth quickest for Trevor Bayne. We're coming up on the 26th car that will be taking time. That's Jeremy Clements in the 51. As that one-stop ASE Chevrolet, one of the playoff drivers.
It was a roller coaster for Jeremy Clements, right? One at Daytona, then there was a penalty, then the penalty was overturned into the appeal, and now he's in the playoffs.
It was like he won twice, won the same race twice. So I mean, there was obviously some heartbreak about the possibility of being penalized, but then he overturned the penalty in an appeal, and I bet the celebration for that was very similar to the win itself.
Yeah, so the appeals process, not to get too in-depth, but basically NASCAR's, they're the sanction body. They hand out the penalties, but then the appeals process is a board of a group of non-NASCAR employees, other executives in the sport, people have done different things, and you don't go in front of all of them. There's a small few that get chosen kind of randomly to hear each appeal, and they're kind of like the jury, just like in real life. They just decide, was it an accurate penalty? Was it not? You got to be careful. Don't appeal everything, because they can't say, you know what, they're wrong. That should have been a bigger penalty. Yeah. Like, they could go either way with it. So right. It's interesting to see Jeremy Clements, though, not quite. I'm not sure what's wrong with that Jeremy Clements car. Slowest car of everybody that's run. That 51, I imagine, should have expected more. You might have to check in on that 51 to see if they have an issue after their lap.
I would say they do. This is Daniel Hemrick with the First Bank of Alabama Chevrolet. One of the Colleague drivers, and it seems as though Colleague Racing has worked very hard and diligently on their super speedway program, at least working together.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was relying on the drivers buying into a certain mentality of being able to say, hey, man, I might end up second in this whole deal, but that's okay. One of us is going to win this race. And I wonder if they all, got some new drivers this year. I wonder if all those guys can get together and get on the same page like we've seen them in the past.
And I'm not sure if maybe I didn't give Justin Haley enough credit for just how good he was as a restricted plate racer. Because if you have a guy that's really, really good at it, he can kind of, both by examples and in meetings, he can lead your organization with the cars and how they have to be built. Because he looks really good even on Sunday behind the wheel plate racing, no longer running for Colleague on Saturdays.
Hemrick goes 5th quickest in his qualifying effort. Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier, Sieg coming up next. And now the Menards Little Hug Toyota of Brandon Jones is out on track.
Now, Menards, that's a car I can spot for. IndyCar, NASCAR, that one I know. Everywhere Menards goes, that color, that scheme goes with them. Kind of showed up in the sport when John's son drove, but then has continued for a long, long time. You gotta critique this your man next year. Yeah. So if he doesn't run a tight line here, you're gonna have to bring some notes back.
I don't know, man. A lot of them have missed the entry. Look at that, right around that line, but up the racetrack a little bit. Then he turned. Your instinct is to turn the wheel and get it back to the bottom of the racetrack, but you have to kind of do that all gradually to not knock a lot of speed out. It's listening to that motor and those RPMs. You don't want to do anything with the steering wheel that's going to go, bring that RPM sound down.
I'm always interested to compare teammates as well. So Trevor Bayne sits 4th, and the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota at about a 53.06. Looks like Jones is going to be better than that at the moment, trending into the high 52s. And continues to gain against.
This is going to be
Graf's lap.
He's going to flirt with Creed's lap here.
It's going to be second quick maybe for Jones. Let's start finish line's a long way around here.
Yes. Clean cut there, and 52.84 for Brandon Jones. Kim.
You guys were wondering about Jeremy Clements, currently since 28th on the board. Checked in with the team as they were leaving pit road. They don't know exactly the issue, but they did say Jeremy came on the radio and said the car didn't feel like it powered up and came up to speed like it should have. Maybe down a little bit on power. He wasn't quite sure. They said they were going to look at it in the garage, diagnose something hopefully, but uncertain of what was causing the issue.
Well, just remember that 51 of Jeremy Clements had a power issue last week. The car just shut off. They didn't know why it wouldn't re-crank. So we'll have to follow up with that 51 and see if they're able to find some sort of issue and try to get it resolved before the race tomorrow, as we see Justin Allgaier, Grant on board, longtime partner of both Junior Motorsports and Justin. The Corn 7 doesn't get enough love at times. The texture of that 7 I like.
It took us like 5 years to get NASCAR to approve that. And since when NASCAR kind of loosened up a little bit and allowed chrome numbers and all that stuff back, and I said, hey, I said to Brant, the sponsor, I said, you want to push, try to get these corn numbers back in there and see if they'll approve it this year, because they turned us down for like 4 or 5 years straight. But finally got it done.
Good speed out of the 7 car, 3rd quick. And now basically all the playoff cars together at the end. That's how they work this qualifying system. Ryan Sieg, 39.
And this is what I tell you, Junior, every time when we get ready for a show. I said, I hope you bring your A game.
Okay.
And that's exactly what Ryan Sieg has brought as his sponsor. A game.
Nice. Well, he's going to need it. I think he can have a great run here, but we've seen him throughout the year be, struggle at the road courses, and so he needs to come out of here with a nice size of points to feel good about moving beyond this round into the playoffs.
Yeah, only 1 point, as you mentioned above Riley Herbst in the playoff standings.
You mentioned A game. Oh, CMR Roofing on the quarter panel is another big partner of Ryan Sieg. They've been together multiple years now, and
extending that relationship.
Yeah.
In the green for Ryan Sieg, again comparing to Brandon Brown right now, who's running 10th. Top 10 will have a second round of qualifying.
All the playoff cars to go. Sieg in 8th currently. Burton, Perkins, even Sieg, even Hemrick perhaps has to feel a little bit of nerves. I believe there's 4 cars left. Mayer, Herbst, Barry. I mean, when you look at the lineup, that top 10 could get changed up pretty quickly here.
Sam Mayer, the 19-year-old out of Franklin, Wisconsin, on the clock now, driving the Accelerate Pros Talent Chevrolet.
Way up the racetrack right there. So, I mean, that's adding tens, maybe hundreds of feet way up the track.
And yet,
it was high, much higher than I expected.
He's going faster as he comes down the backstretch.
Yeah, but imagine if he'd have ran a tighter line, he may be a couple tenths up on Burton's lap.
He's trying to look for the finisher one of these things. He's 0 for 2. And not the only one who goes 0 for 2 at Talladega, but involved in Rex in his first 2 Talladega starts.
Yeah, don't look at my stats. When I first started running play races, it was pretty rough.
Watched a bunch finish from the infield.
For sure.
I was expecting a little more out of the 1. You have the 7 up there at a 52.96. I thought the 1 would kind of match him. 53.10. Only 15 100ths, but 5100, 10th and a half. In this top, Creed has a great lap. Even second for Jones at 84 is a 10th clear. But from all guy or down, I mean, it's hundredths of a second between each position. Currently sitting 5th. The second car to take time today, Ryan Vargas. Kim, I think you've caught up with him.
I haven't. It's been fun to sit down here with him and watch the other drivers make their lap. What's it like for you? You were cheering when you held that spot, the last car that went by. Is it nerve-wracking? Do you feel good?
It's nerve-wracking. I mean, for our team, we're a small organization, JD Motorsports. For us to be competing to make it to the final round of qualifying, that's a massive, massive accomplishment by everybody here. Case, Spud, Gabe, Bird, everybody a part of this organization did a heck of a job. And this beautiful our NASCAR Reddit race car, we have 1,400 names on the rear bumper, including Parker's. I think there's no coincidence behind that.
Is that why you're fast? I can't say that, though, because you had a great qualifying effort in the spring, too. You qualified 7th. What about this track jives with you putting down a fast lap?
I mean, we just have a great race car. I mean, these guys did a great job. I mean, there's not much I can do. You know what I mean? I just have to make sure I hit my marks, be smooth on the shifts and stuff like that. Honestly, I feel like I didn't do as good of a job as I needed to. But I think right now that puts us in the final round right there. But I'm just thankful. Never thought I'd be in this position to race in Xfinity, and especially with Reddit and our NASCAR on the car, all the support from all these amazing people, it means so much.
Love seeing the gratitude from Ryan, and it sounds like maybe he left something in the tank for the second round.
Yeah, that's important to consider. He feels like he could have done something a little bit better, and he'll get that opportunity to go out there and see that through and maybe find even a little bit more speed.
What he was mentioning there is he just got locked into the top 10. So there's only 5 cars still to go, and he's 5th, so he knows that he will be in that second round of qualifying. So he's happy to see that accomplishment has been achieved by this team.
While we were talking to Ryan there, we had the 98 Riley Herbst run his lap all the way down in 18th. A little surprising. I thought we'd see a little bit more speed out of that Ford. Now we have Josh Berry, another Junior Motorsports entry on the list.
Jarrett Industries on board with Josh Berry.
There goes 6th quick for Berry, so kind of right between the two Junior Motorsports. So they're starting to clump together, right? You have a 52.96, a 53.0, 53.10. We'll see if it's the same for Colleague Racing as we see A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 car coming to take the green flag. Colleague has had a couple cars run so far. You have Hemrick in 8th, and all the way down at 14th is Castle.
Interesting line into the corner, kind of an arc that you might use at a at a typical 1.5 miles or short track. And while that may add feet to the lap initially into the turn, it might improve overall speed off of 2 and down the back straightaway, because he does not, turn the steering wheel as sharp getting into turn 1 and bog the motor down and allowing it to never recover. That would be one of them things you'd have to go out there in A and B, Steve, and hope that you didn't get any unique wind gusts or anything like that to alter the lap to really see where that might be better.
It's going to be a pretty solid lap for AJ right here. Action Industries on the hood. He's going to be down sub 53, down to 52 somewhere. Yeah, there you go.
Allmendinger third. So that will lock everyone from Barry up into this second round. Creed, Jones, Allmendinger, Allgaier, Kligerman, Vargas, and Barry are safe. Now Bain, Hemrick, and Sam Mayer are in jeopardy as Austin Hill on the track. Just 3 cars left.
And I said that maybe, Bain might be the favorite, but I take that back. This is the favorite. Austin Hill has made it clear that nobody in the Xfinity Series is as good at Daytona and Talladega and drafting, leading, knowing how to control the front of the field. Nobody is better at that than he is. It's another one of those guys that just seem to understand the draft and the air around the cars and how it works better than anyone else. It's sometimes it just comes natural to people, and it seems like that's the case for him. And he's got a great lap going. Teammates with Creed, so Creed's got the speed.
Well, that's what I was going to add. I agree with what you said about the driver Austin Hill. And when you have that ability, Rick, with Dale was our driver at Hendrick Motorsports, we knew that if we provided a car that had the speed, he could do what needed to be done. And that's what I see, right? RCR 1-2 right here. And that's how I would feel if I had Austin Hill. Be like, I know if I give this man a car that has the, the speed to be able to take that push, that extra couple car lengths every time you get a run, he's going to put it in a lot of the right positions.
Yeah, the idea is, for a lot of teams, I believe, Steve, the idea is, well, the draft's the equalizer. So, if we just put a good car underneath you, we don't really have to do all the details and a lot of the extra ticky-tacky things that are going to take up a lot of our time in preparation. We'll just put a good car, good engine, good solid car underneath you, and you go, take it and win the race with it. But honestly, man, all those little things add up. When you need that performance in that final move, that last little move you make on that last lap, that's when all the details matter in the car. And that's when that car's got a 0.5 tenth or 1 tenth or 2 tenths on the field. It's going to show up in those last final moments.
He's about ready to smash what we saw out of Sheldon Creed here with this lap. A huge lap for Ty Gibbs as he gets ready to come to the stripe, almost 0.4 of a second faster than Hemrick, and that puts him on pole, 52.684. Again, there will be a second round of qualifying to determine the pole winner, but that's a very fast lap for Ty Gibbs. And now the final qualifier, Noah Gragson. He spent most of his time standing next to every car on pit road with a horn of some sort.
I wonder if he got it at the Bass Pro Shop.
I'm not sure where he got it.
Did he get it at Bass Pro? Is that why he was showing it? Is that like the sale item this week? He's trying to show everybody?
Bass Pro Shops, get you one of these? True Timber, BRCC. On board with Noah Gragson, and really hottest driver right now in the Xfinity Series. He's won 4 in a row.
Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops, that's another company that not only supports Noah, but you see it sprinkled through the entire garage. I mean, just a huge NASCAR supporter.
Yeah, staple with NASCAR. He has been very generous with everything that Bass Pro Shops has been able to accomplish. This, the 50th anniversary for Bass Pro Shops, and Noah Gregson's going to be in the top 10. And so Noah Gragson will be fighting for the pole for the second round. As we now see the top 10, they will advance to that next round. Gibbs with the fastest lap, 52.684, all the way down to Josh Berry in a 53.015.
And the one thing, as you look at that top 10, that really jumps out to me, that perhaps impresses me more than the pace of Gibbs, is the consistency of the RCR cars. A 52.74 and a 52.75. So 2 cars out of that organization. Dale, you talk about the details. Well, they have put these 2 teams in the position in their preparation where the details are obviously done to both of those cars. Very consistent and both very fast. Timmy Latiger right there, the second guy in line. He would tell you everything that he did to it. I'm going to call him up. See what old Timmy thinks the trick is.
Yeah.
Drivers advancing to the second round. Said all starts with Ty Gibbs. Those in yellow, all playoff drivers. So Sheldon Creed, Parker Kligerman, and Ryan Barden breaking up an entire playoff party of the drivers fighting for the pole. And that will be coming up next. As I mentioned, Noah Gragson. Not sure what call that is.
Talladega Superspeedway, a 2.66 mile super speedway.
Plenty of room to fan out 2 and 3 and 4 wide.
But at times in Talladega, we find that that's not enough room.
Sunday should be a lot of fun on NBC at 1 o'clock. It's Cup Series Countdown to Green, one of the loudest voices in the sport. And Denny Hamlin is going to join Junior and Burton at the front of the grid. So we're looking forward to that. Of course, racing at 2 o'clock. The playoffs continue on NBC and the post-race coverage on Peacock at 6 o'clock. Ryan Blaney is also going to be a part of Countdown to Green, where he will recall that Dega win. And of course, when you're talking thrills of Dega, well, let's hear from Joey Logano on that. That's all part of Countdown to Green, and we're looking forward to that. 10 cars will be fighting for the top 10 spots. Who will win the pole? Well, right now, the fastest lap has been Ty Gibbs, but a guy up there fighting was 4th in the first qualifying round. Brandon Jones standing by with Kim.
And he's a good one to bet on. Poles in 3 of the last 4 races. How do you make it 4 of the last 5?
Yeah, another Supra that's as fast as the internet is. I mean, we keep coming up here week to week. JGR is, I think, setting the pole for the last couple here, and Ty's fast again. We're really fast as well, so I'm looking forward to this second round. There's a lot of things, I think, as I'm sitting here kind of pushing these cars through the line that drivers can do to maximize their lap. I know we always talk about guys hold it just wide open and that's it, but there's a lot of things coming up to speed that we can do. There's a lot of things, timing your run down this front stretch, trying to get as much speed as you possibly can. That's the thing that I enjoy so much about, I think, qualifying here is just kind of the mindset that goes into it and all the little details that have to add up to make a good lap here. So typically we're not the best qualifiers, but we're normally good race cars here, and so it's nice to see our speeds picking up for qualifying now that we're back at super speedways.
Speaking of being good at the racetrack here, runner-up a couple times. So fast forward, where do you want to be when the white flag waves?
Gosh, there's about a million scenarios, I think, that run through your head, but I think leading is a very difficult place to be here. I mean, if you don't have a teammate behind you, and even if you do have a teammate behind you, you kind of have to expect that a run is going to happen at some point, and you put yourself in a bad position trying to block that. So if you can be second, you own the guy in front of you, you know. So if you can line it up that way, that's ideal, but, you know, it always doesn't work that way. So hopefully we're just in that top 5. That's what we really need to do tomorrow. We need a lot of points on this team, go out there and try to maximize our stages, and hopefully make it to the end, right? That's going to be the main goal for tomorrow, to get some points.
Playoff driver Brandon Jones.
As Kim mentioned, second here at Talladega twice. He's got 5 wins, but never on a super speedway. 10 drivers getting ready for round 2 of the Xfinity Series qualifying from Talladega Super Speedway. And Steve, what can they do in between these rounds?
They can make some small adjustments. The key really is right here. Look at this front, the car of the 7 here. Look at that lower grille, tape solid, even with a panel put in. So there's no air going to go in that panel right here. They're committed to being solid just above it. You see that other, we'll call it tape. It's kind of like a slick substance they put there to kind of when they push and shove. But these cooling lines right here is the key. Try to cool the water back down. We used to run 2 laps at a time, so these cars should be able to run solid without a problem. But you mentioned multiple rounds. This is really the key. Get it cool enough that taping solid, we don't see water push out. That'll hurt horsepower.
10 drivers fighting for the pole and those top 10 starting positions. Austin Hill's ready. He's strapped in.
Drivers ready to do battle here at Talladega.
Welcome to Talladega, NASCAR's biggest wild card. Crash! Oh, time for race number 2 in the 2021 NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs.
Talladega Super Speedway, Saturday racing. It's Cup Series qualifying on NBC Sports app at 10:30. Then at noon, IMSA racing for Petit Le Mans. Countdown to green on USA for the Xfinity Series racing. It's race 2 of the round of 12. That's at 4 o'clock, 6:30 NASCAR America post-race show. And IMSA racing will be back on USA at 7 o'clock after the Xfinity Series race concludes. And first out onto the track, Josh Berry in that 8.
So now they get lined up slowest to fastest of the 10 that advance. So Josh was the 10th place qualifier from the first run. Ran at 53.01. Gonna be interesting to see if they speed up or slow down. I can make an argument for both. I could say, oh, you're going to run faster because the bearings are all heated up. Everything you want warm is warm, right? The hubs, the bearings, everything's going to have less rolling resistance, especially because these cars have like real grease in them because they have to actually race. This is not like qualifying used to be 20 years ago when you put special hubs on. The question is, what's the temperature in the motor do, right? That could be a negative. So we're going to see what the overall average looks like, see who picks up and who slows down.
Josh Berry was a 53.015 for his first round.
I'm going to predict faster by looking at that RPM right there. I'm going to say he runs in the 52s.
Assisting wind as he comes down the front stretch. And across the stripe, 52.89. Steve, you guessed it, a little over 1/10 of a second faster.
And it looked to be almost 100 RPM better in the middle of 3 and 4 than what we saw out of most of the cars that we rode on board with. So RPM's your friend. If you're at wide open throttle trying to push the air and the engine's turning more RPM, that means you're traveling faster.
Here's Ryan Vargas. Has Reddit on board, and Steve in the break went ahead and joined Reddit.
I'm signing up, Rick. If Dale can be Dale, I'm going to just go ahead and sign right up as myself. He's convinced me. He said that it's a great place to go on for not just NASCAR content, but I can follow my different sports teams that I love. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Again, we're going to compare to the fastest time turn, which is right now Josh Berry for the pole. Vargas just a little bit off of that, less than a tenth right now.
How about Ryan's interview, though? You know, today's world where everybody wants to really harp on the negative, it's so great to hear just how appreciative he is of this opportunity. Always has a big smile on his face. You know, if there could be an underdog go to victory lane, this would be the one I would pick.
Yeah.
I would love to see Ryan Vargas be the first to cross that start-finish line. I don't know if the smile could get bigger, but it would be great to see. I would be cheering him on.
52.98 was what he ran in the first round and slows down just a little bit on round 2. Now it's Noah Gragson that will take the clock here.
Noah ran a 97 in the first round. His teammate Barry picked up a little bit, almost a little more than a tenth. And it looks like that Noah's on track to do the same thing.
Right, remember we used to come down testing, practice, whatever. You go out, run. You wouldn't change anything. You just come in and say, hey, man, we got a rerun. Drivers would give you the eye roll like, man, we're not going to change anything. And it would be, well, a couple tenths normally, 15/100ths, just everything kind of heating up, the hubs, the brake, everything, just less rolling resistance overall.
About a half a tenth right now is what Gragson is trending in front of Barry. Lost a little bit of that entering turn 3.
Interesting.
Now you ask, maybe is the engine getting too warm versus the 8 car, right? Why is he losing speed, but now he's claiming back when he gets on the straightaways, just maybe a little less efficient through the corner.
Half a tenth of a second it looks like it's going to be for Noah Gragson, and he goes to the top of the chart, 52.86. Another little more than a tenth pickup.
Yeah, they both had about the same pickup for their cars. Now we'll see what Parker Klingerman can do. I like to call him Klingerman. It's actually Kligerman. But I can't.
I was holding it. I was holding it in.
I can't stop. Been doing it that way for so long. How do I change?
Well, you look and you see that there's no N there.
Yeah, but I can't.
We understand. It's okay. I love it. That's fine. Keep it up.
He ran a 96. Not trending in the right direction.
No.
To be able to improve, so that's interesting because we assume everybody and myself included. I mean, you put these cars back out there, they just run a little bit quicker, right?
Or the same car.
Yeah.
I'm going to give your Junior Motorsports crew chiefs to think that they knew that there was going to be 2 rounds and they wanted to prove to themselves they're going to run twice, and there were things in that car that maybe didn't get worse. Like, I don't think you could put stuff in there that gets better with temp. I think everybody kind of has the same stuff when it comes to that, but maybe there's some things they could do to their car that don't start to hinder them.
Parker, his lap is going to slow down by 1/100, actually less than that. He slowed down by 4 1,000ths of a second from what he ran his first lap.
A little bit of skew in the 7 cars. You watch it come at you head on. And if we go by the other Junior Motorsports cars, this car should run somewhere around the 85. But it is not trending in that direction, at least not so far through turns 1 and 2. Kind of leveled off here. See if he can bring it back down a little bit down this back straightaway. That's why, see, now that you see that and this time and how slow it's moving and ebbing and flowing, that's where I believe that's why I believe a driver can make a difference. You know, just a little subtle movement in the steering wheel or just a little bit of an imperfection in the line can impact the lap.
This is going to be a big pickup. We're talking almost 2 tenths. This is going to go from a 90-something to a 70-something right here. Great work by the 7 car. Justin Allgaier, Jason Burdett. It was a bumpy road at Texas. They're looking to rebound, try to get going the right way. 52.75. There you go.
You mentioned it. Big pickup. Over 2 tenths of a second for Justin Allgaier, running the fastest lap. 52.75. More qualifying. Stay with us. Currently the fastest man at Talladega, and Noah Gragson was trying to offer him the horn and he denied it, but it's Justin Allgaier at a 52.75.
It's a good looking helmet for Allgaier. Love that.
You like it because it is ice cream.
You know, I was going to say that I liked it because his daughter designed it, but you're actually right. I think
his daughter enjoys ice cream.
Yeah.
It's a cool helmet.
I mean, no one's trying to like share the horn. That's like saying, hey man, I got the flu here. Share this horn with me so you can be sick too. Come on, man. We're grown-ups. We aren't sharing drinks.
As we see the 16, AJ Allmendinger out on the racetrack now. Call him Allgaier.
What?
I was going to call him AJ Allgaier.
No, you know what that is? That's karma. You picked on the Klickerman story from Dale Jr., and now you got one of your own.
That'll do it.
Gotcha. That's okay. I get Allgaier and Allmendinger. You start looking at the scoring streak. And when they get running next to each other.
Oh, yeah, right next to each other.
Oh, yeah, man, it could be. I'll have AJ Allgaier and Justin Allmendinger, and I'll have them backwards all the time.
Right now, trending slower than what Allgaier has posted.
He has that entry, though, that's kind of unique. And let's see what happens down the back straightaway. Of course, that was a 2/10 pickup on Justin, which was phenomenal. But look at that time drop back down here. Now back up. Come on.
A 52.94 is what Allmendinger ran in round 1.
AJ looks like he's going to go back to that 110 pickup, maybe even a little less than we were kind of used to seeing.
Yeah. So while most people would not prefer to run a second round, Justin's probably happy that they brought a second round to the qualifying format.
A little over a 10.5 off for Allmendinger on that lap, puts him 4th right now.
Well, picked up a little bit, but not as much as the rest of the guys.
I was going to say, qualify first of all is about ego. Team wants to show how good their car is. I think the field will get jumbled up enough. I don't think it's a huge difference on where you're going to run in the race. But your pit pick next week at the Roval, I mean, that could be a deciding factor of where you have it. We expect to see mostly green flag stops, but in Xfinity sometimes you see a stop under yellow at the road courses. So, it's all a competition.
When we talked to Brandon Jones in between the sessions, he mentioned how much he enjoys coming here and qualifying and feels like a driver can make a difference. We'll see what he has here. Brandon, in his first lap in the first round of qualifying was 52.84. And looking to improve upon that, but maybe not fast enough to catch Allgaier.
That 7 car, that is an impressive rerun and a big pickup.
Good lap here for Brandon Jones. And that will put him 2nd at a 52.81. So a little bit of a pickup for Brandon Jones from round 1. Now Austin Hill on track. He was a 52.75. If he can back up what he was able to do in that first round, he'll be right at what Allgaier ran.
I think this is going to be my pick for tomorrow. Dale, you convinced me of it.
In the green early for Austin Hill.
What I like when he goes through the corner is not only is he low, but he's not chasing the line. Like the wheel's not moving. He's not going up, down, up, down. It is like he ran almost a perfect radius through 1 and 2.
Allgaier watching. He sees the numbers in green. Almost a 1/10 of a second faster. This will be a big pickup for Austin Hill.
Yeah, this is going to make things interesting for Ty Gibbs and Sheldon Creed, Austin's teammate.
How low he runs off the corner.
And a 1/10.5 faster than Allgaier, 52.60. A 68 is what Ty Gibbs ran, so that's the fastest lap that's been turned as Sheldon Creed, the birthday boy, on the track now.
That'd be a pretty good birthday present.
Father-in-law, Phil Parsons, let us know that they were celebrating the birthday.
Right now, just a tick slower than his teammate, and that's going in the wrong direction. Down the back straightaway, it continues to climb. Flattened out right here. get it going the other direction.
The news cycle for RCR is really swapped, right? The news of losing Reddick was a big negative. Then they signed Kyle Busch, on the Cup side. But then he has these two drivers here in Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill. I think these guys are far from showing their full potential. I think they're only going to keep getting better, which is a good sign for RCR to have some talent right there in the wings.
And Sheldon Creed is second fastest. So right now it's RCR 1 and 2 with Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed. And the final driver to see if they can knock him off is Ty Gibbs on track here in the 54.
Now, Jones only picked up a few hundredths from his first run. I use him because he's the other Toyota in the group. So if that's the case for this Toyota, it's not going to be good enough because he had run a 68. So he needs to pick up probably about 9 100ths, and right now tracking just a smidge off Austin Hill.
Yeah, he ran up the racetrack a little bit in the middle, or in the entry to turn 1, and added those 200ths that you see right there. Otherwise, it's been a really, really good lap.
It's coming the other direction. Does he have enough racetrack?
Well, if he doesn't here, then he's not going to go anywhere.
It's coming. Oh, it was coming down until he entered 3. Then it went back up again.
Can he get a gust of wind down this front straightaway? Starts to drop just a little bit there.
So it shows you it's a little efficient down both straightaways, not quite as efficient in the corner as Austin Hill.
And just 2 100ths of a second slower. And so Gibbs will slot in second. And Austin Hill grabs his first career pole, and it happens right here at Talladega Superspeedway.
Get the smile. I love it.
Big smiles for Austin Hill. And Kim's down there with him.
That's right. First career pole in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So you start P1. How do you approach tomorrow's race to make sure you finish P1?
Well, I mean, I've said it all week long. We're going to be very aggressive. It just goes to show all the hard work that everybody at Richard Childress Racing puts into our Bennett Chevy Camaro. We thought we were going to have a shot at it today. The first run, I was all over the racetrack for some reason. I wasn't very smooth. Got down into 3 on my first lap and was kind of, I don't know what I was doing. I was washing all around, but we still was able to put in a solid lap on that first one. And then that last lap that we turned, I thought was money. I mean, that's all I had. I was as smooth as I could be, right on the yellow line. And but it just goes back and shows all the hard work back at Richard Childress Racing, everybody back at the shop. Just all the men and women that put this together, and we just got to be aggressive all day, stay up front, try to lead laps, and our Chevrolet was unbeatable like Xfinity Internet today, so I'm happy about this. I really am. I've been wanting to sit on the pole this year, and we were able to do it, so now we got to keep this Chevy up front.
Congratulations.
All right, you guys both called it. You think he's the favorite?
Yeah, I think that give him the control of this race. It's going to be hard to take it away from him. Once he gets out front, he knows how to keep that lead.
All smiles for Austin Hill. Noah Gragson had the most fun, I think, during this qualifying session because he knows that he is locked into the round of 8. But tomorrow we'll find out, can another driver do that? Can they lock themselves in? There's more NASCAR coverage always available on NBCSports.com. Coming up next on USA, it's Chicago Fire. Congratulations, Austin Hill. Career pole.